get real. Time for Real Talk with Aaron and Steve here on Steve Shetler Media. It's brought to us by New Life Community Church in Wellman, Iowa. Pastor Aaron Fleming of New Life Community Church. How you doing today, Aaron?
I'm doing swell, Steve.
Fantastic.
Do you know why I'm doing so swell?
Why?
Because I was, right before we went on air, I was really enjoying your Beavis and Butthead impressions. Would you like to share some of those on air? Or
Probably not. Fire! Fire!
There we go. That's what I was looking for. We were talking about fire last week and how sometimes we feel pressure to always be on fire, and that's going to be a great segue. We were kind of discussing about how sometimes as Christians we felt pressure to be on fire all the time and to be amped up, and then we were looking at some scripture in the book of Ephesians about walking a life of faith. And you don't have to be amped up to walk.
I mean, there might be occasional times where you run.
Sure.
For a while. There might be times when you take a nap. But
Hey,
overall, it's a nice steady pace.
That is true. And a little over a year ago, I went backpacking with my brother in Portugal and Spain. And I tell you what, it is a pretty nice lifestyle to get up in the morning and put your pack on and walk for about an hour. We cover about 3 miles in an hour early in the morning, and then stop at a little cafe by the road and drink some coffee and eat some Portuguese pastries and drink some fresh squeezed orange juice.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad lifestyle at all, to walk for a little while and then stop and rest and then get up and walk some more. So I like that metaphor, but would you do the fire thing again for me? Just
Fire! 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 Cornholio!
one more time, please.
I charge after the second time, so.
Oh, man.
Fire.
There we go. That was a free fire. Sometimes I've come to understand. Sometimes, folks, although we're walking a life of faith, you gotta burn the ships.
Burn them down.
Burn the ships. Now I should explain what that means.
Yeah.
And where I got it. First of all, a couple of weekends ago, I was at a pastors conference. Not just pastors. I'm part of an organization called Growth Resourcing Group, and none of you have ever heard of it. It's a very sneaky organization. They don't go advertising themselves and trying to get people to sign up. You kind of gotta know somebody that knows somebody.
I know the secret knock.
I know the secret knock. It's not quite that secretive. It's a semi-secret network. And one of the fascinating things about it is it's not just pastors, it's also artists and missionaries and business people. So there's some accountants who are members.
Okay.
So if you're down in Alabama and you need an accountant, Serenity Accounting.
Okay.
There's some people with vision. Let's take the most, sorry for any accounting people listening, but let's take the most boring profession in the world and give it a beautiful sounding name. Because, hey, at the end of the day, you kind of do want your accountant to give you some peace.
Yep.
That's the whole purpose. I don't personally have an accountant. My wife does all the books, and that gives me a lot of peace. So anyway, really fascinating network of ministries and businesses and artists and missionaries. But the founder of the network is a pastor named Keith Spurgeon, who pastors New Hope Church down in Wiley, Texas. So it's always fun to go down there and enjoy the various accents of the Texas folk. And my pastor friend Jake Vicknair is from Louisiana.
Okay.
So I can't even begin.
You get kind of different dialects of the southern accents and drawls.
Yeah, I can't even begin to do Louisiana. It's just something else. And he's not quite like, you remember in Waterboy, there's the Cajun guy that you can't understand.
Yeah.
So Jake is not on that level, but he's got a unique accent. Anyway, I digress. as usual. So Keith gave kind of a keynote address, and it was about transition. The whole theme of the weekend was transition. And there was some stuff about caterpillars changing into butterflies and something about like apparently caterpillars, once they get into that cocoon, they turn into goo.
Ooh.
They're just totally turn to goo, except for like these little pieces of them that carry their DNA.
Okay.
That are called something. I forget what they're called. It was some science word.
Science.
Not my strong suit. So you science people who know about caterpillars, say you probably know what it is. Say so in the comments.
Catergoo.
Catergoo. Yeah. But the discs, they were like DNA discs, or I don't know. I'm embarrassing myself now. Let's move on. So caterpillars, and then they turn into butterflies, of course, as we all know. But then the third point of Keith's message was this: burn the ships.
Hardy har.
And so what's he talking about? Some of us learned about Hernando Cortez. Do you remember learning about him in
Nope.
school?
Nope.
Hernando Cortez was the Spanish conquistador who conquered Mexico with this tiny little army of 500 dudes. And I don't really want to make Cortez out to be a hero, because he was a pretty bad dude. They murdered a lot of people. They did not conquer Mexico because they were nice people. They conquered Mexico because they wanted gold. So he was not nice. It's kind of a discouraging story. Like, there's just nobody in that story is good. The Aztecs were, making up to 20,000 human sacrifices a year. And if you've seen movies like Apocalypto, cutting people's hearts out and all kinds of unpleasant things. So really no hero on either side of the story of the conquest of Mexico. But even in villains, sometimes we see wisdom. So the story goes that Cortez landed on the coast of Mexico. He had like 5 ships or something, and he had about 500 soldiers. And they were kind of negotiating with the people that lived there, some tribes that were under Aztec rule and stuff. But at some point, Cortez decided that he needed to march into the heart of Mexico to meet the Aztec emperor and conquer the Aztecs.
Okay.
So before he left on his trip of conquest, he got all of his soldiers up on a hill overlooking the bay where their ships were anchored, and then he had like his most trusted lieutenants were on board the ships, and they set fire to the ships.
Wow. No going back then, huh?
No going back. Burn the ships, and now you're a Spanish guy in Mexico, and you're gonna march forward, and you're gonna conquer, or you're gonna die, and there's no two ways about it. And the point, I think the point is pretty clear. Most of us walk around each day feeling like maybe there's something bigger in life that we ought to be doing, and we tend to stay in the safety of the familiar and the comfortable. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Did you start Steve Shetler Media because you just were so excited about running your own business and stuff?
I hadn't even considered it until it was forced upon me.
So, somebody, in your case, somebody else kind of burned your ships.
Somebody lit the ship on fire and kicked me out.
Yeah.
And hey, it happened.
But the truth is, like, you could have gone and gotten a job at the library or Dollar General or played it safe in some way, right?
Definitely considered about every option. But I even considered staying in the kind of other ships of radio. But all of those ships shut their doors. And so here I am.
Here you are, growing the Steve Shetler Media empire.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes somebody else burns the ships, which is like that's what happened. Cortez had the ships burned. His soldiers probably didn't want the ships burned.
They're like, wait a minute.
And then the truth is, it was actually really sneaky. They had actually salvaged all of the metal parts of the ships, like the anchors and the bolts that hold the mast in place. Or I am now totally out of nautical terminology. The iron stuff. So they had actually salvaged and stashed that stuff.
Okay.
So that ultimately they could get home.
Okay.
But as far as the average guy in the Army knew, like this was it. Move forward or die. Conquer or die. And I love thinking about life in that way. So I want to ask our listeners to be thinking, what is it that is really comfortable about your life right now? And is there a ship that you need to burn so that you can move forward? And man, I've been to the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice. I've been out on boats on the Caribbean. It would be a really nice place to just sail around, and you could do some fishing and, stop at different ports and eat some fruit and chill out and
Just
have a
meander.
good time. Yeah, just meander
Through the sea.
Meander around. It's so pretty, so comfortable, kind of like being on a cruise.
Yep.
With 500 of your best conquistador friends. But that's not what you're born for. Sailing around in comfort. You're born for something bigger. And every single one of us is thinking about this. This is not something that everybody's got figured out. So, friends, we'll come back and we'll talk about more of these ideas. But there's the real talk truth of the day. Most of us are too comfortable, and we weren't born for comfort. We were born for conquest. Hopefully not killing other people and plundering their gold.
Definitely not.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, definitely not. But we were born to, in the spirit realm, to kick butt and take names, to move forward, to help some other people. How about if we do that instead of plundering their gold? Help some other people, and just live life to the fullest. So I think that's what we've got for today, Steve.
Okay. Sounds good. Put a plug in for New Life Community Church.
Yeah, New Life Community Church is up in Wellman, and we meet at 10 o'clock at the Parkside Activity Center on Sunday morning. We got some midweek groups, and hey, I wanna put a plug out there too. If at New Life we've got a fun men's group. We get together a couple of times during the month, and then on a Friday night we have a large gathering where we get, the small groups are maybe like 8 or 10 guys, but when we all get together, we can get 20, 25 guys for a meal. We'll do chili supper or kind of some fun things like that, and have a larger group. If you're part of a church, or you want to be part of a church where there's a men's ministry, but you don't know how to get that started, hey, get in contact with me, and I could probably get some of the men from New Life to come and talk to you kind of about what we do. We're not rocket scientists. We're not inventing the wheel on our own. We're just men who know that we need some other people to walk with us. So we'd be delighted kind of anywhere in Southeast Iowa or even Northeast Missouri. We'd be happy to connect with other groups who want to get men's ministry going. We've got a young men's Bible study group that I lead, but it's a lot of fun. Guys from really age 16 to about 24. So we'd love to talk to people about how we're doing that. But yeah, if you live near Wellman, join us on Sunday morning and check us out. You can check us out on Facebook too. If you'd rather watch a service online before you show up in person, that's great too. So that's kind of who we are and what we're up to.
All right. We do thank New Life Community Church in Wellman for bringing us Real Talk with Aaron and Steve here on Steve Shetler Media. We'll see you next week.